Our first inductee is a member of the class of 1942. In his yearbook, they wrote, "With his football ability, Ray gained much fame. We know in life's battle, he'll do the same." Ray Justak was an outstanding football player during his Whiting High School years, and then went on to play football at Northwestern University and served as captain of the team. He was drafted by the NFL New York Giants in 1946. He served his country during World War II and the U.S. Navy. He chose to pursue a law degree rather than to continue with his football career. He partnered with his wife, Martine, for 25 years in their own firm, Justak and Justak. He later left his practice to run a successful business as a beer distributor. Ray was recognized by 3 different governors who honored him with the Sagamore of the Wabash Award. He also contributed to many charities, including the Sisters of the Poor, various Catholic charities, and the Indianapolis Food Bank. At this time, I'd like to present to you Raymond John Justak.
Well, thank you. I'm flattered and very honored to be inducted into the Buckley Hall of Fame. I've come a long way since I graduated from Whiting High School the same year that Jim Buckley did. We were fellow athletes. He was a basketball player and I was a football player. And I believe he captained this team too in basketball. I owe a lot to this city and my parents who believe strongly that education was the path to success. We had excellent teachers at Whiting High School. I mean, they were superlative, but they made you work. And since I was a football player and wanted to get on the honor roll and get some grades, I never had any time for any socialization. I think the first date I ever had was a senior picnic. I was 16 at the time, and immediately when I was accepted at Northwestern, I had to take an exam for an NROTC program, which would allow me to stay in the college for 3 years. And there were 1,200 applicants, and they took 200. And we had some big schools that applied, and I made it. And I attribute that to my education at Whiting High School, rides to different law schools, different colleges. I had an offer from Illinois, Northwestern, and Tennessee. And I ultimately chose Northwestern because I hoped to get into the NROTC so I could have 3 years in college. And that did happen. Many of you were at the commencement speech that I gave this afternoon. Some of you were not. But what I said there still stands. My success in life is due to the values and beliefs that were installed in me by my parents, who immigrated from Poland. As I said, my father came over when he was 15 by himself on a steerage and couldn't speak the language and managed to have a business, put us through school, and like most European immigrants, he had a great belief in America, just loved it and thought that anything could be accomplished if you worked and were educated. And so I'm really grateful to him for that. The successes in my life were highlighted by you, but there have been many failures and losses as well. You have your ups and you have your downs. You've got to treat obstacles as little bumps in the road and go forward. The biggest loss I had was the death of my son when he was 20 years old in an automobile accident. But it's how you face those low points that counts. You have a choice to go on and live well or dwell in sorrow. I have always told my children and grandchildren not to live in the past, but rather to build on it and make a good life for themselves. I had a friend that also had a son that was killed in an automobile accident. And she just dwelt on it, enjoyed her own life, and they eventually divorced, and she died early of cancer. I tried to be honorable, and in the end, your life is defined by how you lived it. Were you honorable in your dealings with your fellow men and women, and did you come in from a position of love and forgiveness? I hope that I have lived up to that creed. I accept this award on behalf of all my fellow graduates from the class of 1942. We had it was the first war year, and we had some wonderful people there. I can remember George Coaches, and Bernie Ruhlman, and Fabian Kalpak. They were all very bright and were very successful. Probably deserve it as much as I might, too. But they're all gone now, and I'm one of the few survivors. I stand here on the backs also of the men that served our country and gave the ultimate sacrifice and did not make it through World War II. They all belong up here much more than I do. I'd also like to thank my family, very supportive, and extended family who are here tonight, and acknowledge those who couldn't make it. I love them all. Thank you and good night. I did want to tell you that the reception I got here from the staff and everything was just overwhelming. I felt like I belonged again, and that really made me happy. Thank you.
Today in regard to the choices that one makes in life and how that really guides you, and they connected so well to that message, Mr. Justak. I was extremely well received. Thank you so very much.